during that period, you published, is it fair to say, well over 100 papers in scientific journals?
Yes, it took me a while to get going because coming from an industry background into a university and realising you had to publish papers was fairly daunting.
Are there any that you would suggest have become the most influential, and on the other hand, maybe there's one or two that you think probably still are quite controversial?
Yes, well, I suppose the early papers on massive sulphide deposits have become quite influential. I run into people, especially overseas, who say, gee, I really appreciated that paper you wrote in whenever, 1990. It was a fantastic, cover of the topic.
When you were doing those suite of papers, did you use your old mentor Dick Stanton for advice, and did he sort of review them prior to you submitting them? Or?
No, I sort of lost contact with Dick in that early phase and regained it later.
Okay.
My approach was to select a paper that was very successful in that general field. So I remember when I wrote one of the most successful papers on massive volcanic hosted massive sulphides of Australia, that I actually used a paper of Don Sangster's, and he wrote a similar type of paper, which I'll always remember as the number 7222 paper of the Canadian Geological Association on massive sulphides of Canada. And I looked at how he'd written that because I was very impressed by that paper, and I structured my paper on what he'd done. And I say this to my students, why reinvent the wheel? Go and have a look at some of the most important papers that have been written. Look at how they're structured.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's really important to be able to get across all your thoughts in a simple fashion that's easy to read. Is really not about the science, it's about how you write the paper.
How you communicate.
Yeah.
Did you, and it's probably fair to say on communicate, you're very fortunate in having excellent verbal communication skills, and that's also got to be part of your success.
Yes, and I learnt that, I think, from Carey. He impressed on all of us that we had to be able to stand up and give talks at any time. And so that came from Carey's.
Did you ever have a chance to have a chat to Don about how you copied his organisation style?
I think I did mention it to him one time.
I'm sure he appreciated it.
Yeah. I mean, I met him several times when I was in Canada, and I really appreciated him as a scientist.
No, he's excellent.